we're going to be talking about 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Now, let's describe or define a sense of self. A sense of self refers to your perception, the way you see the collection of characteristics that define you. So, personality traits, abilities, your likes and dislikes, your belief system or moral code, and the things that motivate you. These all contribute to self-image or your unique identity as a person. Saying of the day, you attract the right things when you have a strong sense of who you are. When you know who you are, you attract the right things. This talk is for educational purposes only, and it's not a substitute for professional guidance, advice, treatment, or diagnosis. If you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, substance use or abuse, or suicidal thoughts, dial 988. 988 is available 24/7 nationwide and staffed by trained crisis counselors who are just a text or a call away. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. How well do you know yourself? Besides your favorite color, your favorite food, do you know your interests? Do you know your hobbies? And do you know your strengths? A sense of self refers to how well we perceive the characteristics that define us, like we said up here. Those who can identify these characteristics confidently often have a strong sense of self, while those who struggle with it may have a weak sense of self. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 1, you have a hard time saying no. People pleasers. If you're a people pleaser, you have a weak sense of self. You think your life is all about making somebody else happy, and your life is not about making somebody else happy all the time. Sometimes you got to tell people no and mean it and stand on it. This tendency may come from an underdeveloped sense of self and may have to do with the need to please others and make them happy. Constantly needing to agree and comply with others might mean that you put too much emphasis on what others think of you to determine your own happiness. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 2, you lack self-confidence. When you lack self-confidence, it can mean that you may not know yourself well enough to believe in your strengths. Having a realistic view of your abilities is important in developing a strong sense of self because it gives us a solid foundation from which to grow and become our best self. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 3, you struggle to define your interests and your values. Developing your hobbies is not only a great way to know yourself, but to find other great friendships. Because when somebody asks you what your hobby is, you should come up with like 5 or 6 of them off the top of your head. And if somebody, that's why I did this. And if somebody asks you what your hobby is, and you like, breathing? No, it ain't a hobby. That's not a hobby. Right, you're going to do that anyway. You don't even know what you like. You should have a few things that you like. You know what depresses you and make you sad. Isn't that strange? You know what makes you sad. You know what depresses you, but you don't know what you like. That's why we're doing this. It's important, man. Because when we can go to an elementary school right now. Y'all know it, man. Come on. Whole class full of little kids. 1st grade, 2nd grade. What's your hobby? Man, they gonna rattle out about 20 things. Off the top of it, I'm telling you, they thought about it. You got to do that. Forget scratching the surface. You know what your favorite color is. Do you have a hobby? If you don't, why? You join Toastmasters. You're going to meet people in Toastmasters. You know, so having other activities, other than drinking. I'm sure you know who to drink with. I'm sure if you wanted to smoke, you know who to go smoke with. I ain't talking about those things. You feel what I'm saying? I'm talking about some stuff that you doing that you don't have to do. Like when you go out there and fish, put the little worm on there and go out there, you don't have to do that unless you doing it for survival. Basically, you doing that for fun. That's a hobby, something that you do that you don't normally have to do. Biking, exercising, cooking. Developing your hobbies is not only a great way to know yourself, but to find other great friendships. Hobbies can be something like singing, writing, or playing a sport. Values, we're talking about values, can encompass honesty, compassion, and empathy. That's what your values are. You're an honest person. No matter what, I'm going to tell the truth. That's a good person. That's a good value to have. No matter what, I'm going to show compassion, having compassion for other people. Because when you can't put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you can treat that person any way you want. I'm telling you, man. Any case, clearly identifying what you hold close can help you discover and understand yourself better. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 4, you often seek validation from others. People pleaser. Are you proud of yourself when you accomplish a goal, or do you wait for your friends and family to be proud of you? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be praised, but if praise has enough power to change the way you feel, you may be dependent on it a bit too much. Accepting yourself is crucial to developing a strong sense of self, as it helps you grow in honest perspective about who you are. It helps you gain an honest perspective about who you are. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 5, you don't spend time alone. How many people spend time alone? That's important. That's important. To be on all the time. I mean, can you imagine a woman got a baby with her all day, no time off, no alone time? Only where you out? Imagine she got like 4 little kids. 4, 5, 6. I mean, what 4, 3, 2, and go knock them on down. And you got them all running around. They fighting. One playing in the toilet. Another one over here in the trash. Another one kissing the cat. I mean, come on, man. Time alone is very important. We take it for granted a lot. Experts agree that spending time with yourself is important for the development of a strong sense of self, because it gives you the time to get to know yourself without distractions. While it may be difficult and uncomfortable at first, not for me, I like spending time with myself, but enjoying some solitude throughout the day may come easier with time. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 6, you have trouble making up your mind. Indecisive. And I'm going to ride with my decision and let the chips fall where they may. That's like a person got 2 love interests and they don't know who to decide on who to be with. You better make a decision. So you be with nobody. If you often struggle to figure out what you want or how you feel, you may not be as in tune with yourself as you would like. The anxiety you may feel while making a choice may mean that you don't trust yourself. Your indecisiveness may be rooted in insecurity and doubt, which can lead to a weaker sense of self. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 7, you disregard your own health and needs for others. Disregarding your own needs may suggest that you don't value your own needs and happiness, and you're not living your life on your own terms. And instead, you're mainly living to please those around you. While making compromises in your relationships with others is important, it can become unhealthy when you begin to dismiss your own needs, values, and your concerns. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. Number 8, you nurture a codependent relationship. We've been talking about that for a while, codependent relationships. Codependency often points to a weaker sense of self because it can very easily cause you to base your own self-perception on how others perceive you. Even if those people are very close to you, no one has the ability to know you better than you. Focusing too much on outside opinions may end up distorting the way you see yourself. We said 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. And we said number 1 was you have a hard time saying no. Anybody here got a hard time saying no? Nobody gonna admit it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's admit it.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it depends on the person.
Yeah. Sometimes it depends on who you deal with.
That is something I'm quick to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then time is hard.
Some people you saying it's hard for you to say no to.
Right.
Some people. Okay. We said number 2 is a lack of self-confidence. You lack self-confidence. This is another sign of a weak sense of self. And that's basically your self-esteem. How you feel about yourself, how much you love yourself. We said that number 3 was you struggle to define your interests and values. Number 4, we said you often seek validation from others. Number 5, you don't spend time alone. Number 6, you have trouble making up your mind. Number 7, you disregard your own health and needs for others. And number 8, we said that you nurture a codependent relationship. 8 signs you have a weak sense of self. And basically what I'm saying, what it is that it's low self-esteem. How much I love me. And man, I'm telling you, man, that's more valuable than gold. That's the most valuable thing you can give yourself today. Because when you love yourself and you feel good about yourself, you live life better, man. You don't go through life with the emergency breakup. Because when you got low self-esteem, that's what you're doing. You're going through life. You're just going through it with the emergency breakup. And who done drove a car with the emergency breakup? I have. Forgot you was on that hill. Yeah. Forgot you was on that hill, bro. Just took off. Now, what you say? You get the smelling some oil or something?
Burning rubber.
Yeah. Gear grinding. You're like, this car ain't driving right. Then you put that emergency brake down, you push that little button, push it down, and boom, take off. That's how life is. Going through life with low self-esteem is going through life with the emergency breakup. You still can go through it. It's just going to be more difficult. It's just going to be more difficult. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, you give your power away to things, man. When you base your self-esteem, when your self-esteem is rooted in things, you meet a fine young thing with some pop, ta-da. All that. And you feel good because you get to go places with her and people be looking at you when you with her. People are like, that's you, man? That's yours? Y'all know how dudes be. Bro, that's you? You be proud to say that's you. But if your self-esteem is rooted in her, your self-esteem is in jeopardy. Because once she leave you, or she cheat, or you catch her in a lie, or she just might decide she don't want to be with you no more, your self-esteem gonna crash. It ain't rooted in you. It's called self-esteem. It ain't called drug esteem. It ain't called drink esteem. It's called self-esteem. So what that said, man, God is a beautiful, powerful God, bro. God is a powerful God, man, that he can create us to the point where we don't need nobody's permission to love ourselves. We don't need nobody's validation to love ourselves. I can say to myself, you know what? I love me. I choose to love me. I choose to care about me. And guess what? When I love me more, I love you more. And I treat you better. I show you more respect when I love me. Yeah, man. Self-esteem, man. I treat you as a better. When you see a person always mistreating people, always trying to hurt people, put people down, that's a person with low self-esteem. And see, the problem with low self-esteem is you got to hurt people to feed that. High self-esteem, you feed that by helping somebody. Even if you just say, man, I like them shoes you got on, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's a nice outfit. People throw away words like that around all the time who got high self-esteem. They throw around compliments, positivity to people. That's what self-esteem is. This is basically low self-esteem, a weak sense of self. I don't need nobody's permission to say, I love Will. And that, you got to get to the same point, man. You got to love yourself, because when you love yourself, you're going to treat people better. Any questions, concerns, or comments about this, y'all, today?
Yeah, that is just with that making up your mind, like you said, lacking confidence in myself, thinking.
Right. That's what that is.
This could be right, but you got to
right.
pull the trigger.
Come on with it. Y'all heard what he said? You got to pull the trigger, man. You got to make a decision. Because if not, you're going to just keep going back and forth. And even if you make the wrong decision, you got a lesson. You learn something. That's how you grow. When we're little kids, when we become teenagers, there's certain things we did when we were little kids we ain't going to do as no teenager because we learned. You touched that stove and it burnt your hand already when you was little. You ain't finna touch that stove at 17 and burn your hand again. You ain't finna get on that bike without no pads on and without no helmet on and jump them bricks with that piece of wood. No more. You learn when that every time you look at that scab, every time you see that knot on your head, that's a reminder. That's reinforcing that you ain't gonna do that again. Am I right? You had to walk around all summer with that little knot on your head until it faded out and went away. That was your reminder not to do that again.
What you learn, Larry?
I learned that.
And every time you go that empty pocket, you know that be giving them like $200. No, they ain't got no dollar to pay you back.
I learned that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Will told me.
Mm-hmm.
He said it, Will.